Alright mates, how's it going? In today's video, it's chapter 9 of The Last Guardian by Jeff Grubb. Rub-a-dub-dub. Thanks for the Jeff Grubb. Medivh's gonna have a little bit of a sleep. Khadgar's gonna read some letters. And let's try and make that interesting, shall we? Let's go! This is very important, Khadgar. I will be unavailable for a few days. If any messengers arrive, I want you to keep track of my correspondence. Sure, I can do that. No, you can't. That is why I need to tell you how to read the ones with the purple seal. Purple seal means it's order business. Medivh staggered down the steps, with Khadgar following closely behind to make sure his master didn't pass out and take a tumble. In the library, there's a scroll. The Song of Aegwynn. The one Guzbar wants. Yes, that one. And this is why he can't have it. We use it as a cipher for order communications. It is the master key. Each member of the order has a copy. Take the standard alphabet, move everything down so the first letter is represented by the 4th, or the 10th, or the 20th. It's a simple code. You understand? Khadgar opened his mouth to say yes, but Medivh was in too much of a rush to really give a shit. At the top of the message, you'll see what looks like a date. It's not. It's a reference to the stanza, line and word you start at. The first letter of that word becomes the first letter of the alphabet in the code. From there it proceeds normally. So the next letter in alphabetic progression would be the second letter, and so on. Okay, I get it. No, you don't. That's the cipher for the first sentence only. When you hit a punctuation mark, you will go to the second letter in the word. Then that becomes the first letter of the alphabet. And there's something else, but I'm missing it. The two then arrived outside Medivh's personal quarters, with Morose already there waiting for them, holding some pyjamas. What should I do once I decipher the message? Right, delay. Delay first. Day or two, and maybe up after that. Then equivocate. I'm out on business or something. Don't tell them I'm indisposed. Last time I did that, an entire horde of would-be clerics arrived to minister my needs. I'm still missing silverware from that little visit. Medivh then took a deep breath and appeared to deflate even further, grabbing the door frame to stay upright. That fight with the demon was bad, wasn't it? I fought worse. How did you defeat it? I took its head off. But you didn't have a sword. Why would I need a sword? No more questions, Khadgar. We'll talk when I'm up to it. And with that, Medivh stepped into his room, and the ever-faithful Morose closed the door. A week passed. Medivh had still not emerged from his quarters. Morose shuffled upstairs daily with a bowl of broth for the master, and on one occasion, Khadgar had summoned up the courage to follow him and take a little look-see. Medivh looked ghastly. His eyes weren't closed, but there was no light inside them, and his face was pale, thin, and haggard. Morose was literally spooning broth into his mouth, like he was some kind of vegetable. Was this another coma? Had Lothar's fears come to fruition? How long would the mages truly be out? On a daily basis, mail would arrive, but nothing out of the ordinary. In fact, it was all pretty boring. Reports, sketchings, articles about prominent wizards and what they like to do in their spare time. But eventually, a purple-sealed letter did arrive. And Khadgar was immediately lost. Maybe he hadn't understood Medivh's instructions after all, because the secret message he was coming out with quickly descended into absolute gibberish. But, after a day or so of frustration, Khadgar then realised what he'd been missing. The spaces between words were also considered a letter in the Order's cipher, and once the young man understood that, everything made sense. However, to say the secret message ended up being a little bit lacklustre was an understatement. No sign of orcs down here in the far south, although we have seen a rise in the number of jungle trolls. There's a new comet visible on the southern horizon. No need to reply. See you. Khadgar then sat and wondered why the Order didn't use magical encoding or spell-based script. Perhaps not all members of the Order were wizards. Or perhaps they were just trying to make sure other mages couldn't read them. Like Guzbar, for example. Putting it in magical script would draw their curiosity like flies to shit. But the most likely explanation, Khadgar decided, was that Medivh was definitely the kind of bloke to force the rest of the Order to use a poem praising his mother as the key. A second week passed, and then a third. More letters arrived. It seemed the orcs had started to pour out of the Black Morass into surrounding areas, but the Master Mage was still comatose, and out of sheer boredom, Khadgar decided to start going through some of the older mail. Going through the old documents, Khadgar began to understand his master's somewhat ambivalent feelings towards the Order. A lot of the letters were little more than demands. Give me some enchantment. Come at once, because my cows aren't eating and their milk tastes weird. And Khadgar couldn't help but wonder why Medivh would ever bother helping these people. Vultures, the lot of them. However, there were some particular letters that caught Khadgar's eye, because they were so goddamned mysterious. Every now and then, he'd come across missives with no signature that simply said yes, or no, or the emu, of course. And his curiosity was piqued even further when a new letter arrived, which simply said, "Prepare quarters, the emissary will arrive shortly." At the end of the 3rd week, even more letters arrived. 2 to be exact. One with a purple seal, the other a red one. And that one was addressed to Khadgar, so he opened that first. "We regret to inform you of the sudden and unexpected death of the instructor mage Guzbar. We understand you had been in correspondence with the late mage, and we share your emotion and sympathy at this time. If you have any correspondence, monies or information currently due to Guzbar, please return it ASAP. Kind regards." Khadgar sank back, stunned, felt like he'd been punched in the gut. He sat in silence for a moment before reaching for the purple sealed envelope. Guzbar was found slain in the library on the eve of the Feast of Scribes. He was apparently taken by surprise from a beast which ripped him apart. The death was quick but painful. The letter continued, maintaining a cold, analytical tone that Khadgar found a little bit excessive. The letter noted that this was the 7th death within the year of a mage of the Violet Citadel, but was the first of this type where the victim was not a member of the Order itself. The writer seemed to want to know if Medivh had been in contact with Guzbar, either directly or through his apprentice, and then went on to speculate, or rather insinuate, that Guzbar had in fact been Khadgar's instructor at one point, and that was a little bit suspicious. How dare, Khadgar thought. What good could possibly come from casting accusations about like that, you dick? But the young mage then shook his head and took a deep breath. There wasn't much good to be gained from indignation either, really. His anger then faded to sadness, as he realised 7 wizards of the Violet Citadel were now dead. They were powerless to stop this, and all this mysterious author could do was cast aspersions out of sheer desperation. Suddenly, an errant and unexpected breeze then wafted through the air, causing the hairs on the back of Khadgar's neck to bristle, and he turned round just in time to see a figure manifest within the room. 'Twas no mistaking who it was. Smaller, so as to fit within the confines of the room, but just as imposing and intimidating as he had been in the vision a few chapters ago. 'Twas Sargeras. However, the Demon Lord didn't say anything, simply moved through the tower and made his way to Medivh's room, so Khadgar followed him. The Lord of the Burning Legion then lingered at the foot of the Master Mage's bed and watched him sleep. Khadgar held his breath, sort of paralysed in fear, but the Demon Lord then raised a hand as if it was about to do something to the Magus' inert form, and without thinking, Khadgar lunged forward. Only he didn't end up striking Sargeras. He ran right through him and straight into a wall. Morose? Khadgar? Are you here? Khadgar picked himself up off the ground to see the demon had vanished and his master was awake. What are you doing on the floor, lad? Morose could have gotten you a cot or something. Master, your wards. They failed. A demon was here. A demon? I think not. The wards are still in place. What did you see? So Khadgar quickly described the appearance of the demon whilst feigning ignorance that he knew exactly who it was. Sounds like another one of your visions. But the demon you described is no more. Slain before I was born. Buried beneath the sea. You saw Sargeras. You've been using the Song of Aegwynn to decipher messages, yes? Perhaps you were just having a nightmare. Look, tell you what. I will check the tower's mystic wards. I'll even show you how to do it. How's that? Now, aside from that little bit of drama, anything happened whilst I was gone? Khadgar summarised the messages received, the rising tide of orc incidents, the mystery message about the emissary, and the news of Guzbar's death. So they're going to play the blame game until the next poor sod gets sliced up. Typical. Feast of Scribes. That was before Huglin and Hagarin died. By about a week and a half, yeah. Time enough for a demon to fly from Dalaran to Stormwind Keep. Or a man on Griffinback. It's not all demons and magic in this world. Sometimes a simpler answer suffices. Anything else? Sounds like these orcs are becoming much more numerous and dangerous. They've moved from caravan raids to full-blown attacks on settlements. Yes, everyone seems pretty concerned. I don't know what to expect next. On the contrary, if everything you tell me is true, then I'm afraid things are just the way I expected. And we're leaving it there! So hopefully that was the best story about someone sleeping and someone reading you've ever heard. The next chapter will feature a few more things, I promise. The emissary arrives, and there's another vision involving Aegwynn being a bit of an asshole. As usual, links in the description for the book, my Patreon page, my Discord, all of that stuff. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, all of that bollocks. And all that's left to say is, thanks for watching, and see ya!